I'm Nova Hayes, and I learned the hardest lesson of my life the day my own family left me off the guest list for my sister's wedding. One invitation, one mistake, was all it took to expose years of hidden manipulation, greed, and betrayal. But I didn't break. I built boundaries. This is my story, how being excluded became the beginning of my freedom. Clapperboard, stay with me till the end, and don't forget to subscribe to Revenge Tales by Camera for more powerful stories of strength, healing, and well-deserved payback. I'm Nova Hayes, 31, sitting at my mother's oak table in Rivergate, Georgia, tracing the rose gold foil on my sister's wedding invitation. Tomorrow is supposed to be her day. Dress steamed, toast polished, heart wide open. Mom, I can't wait for the ceremony, I say, smiling. My mother, Marla, stills, glass hovering and clinking the plate in a tiny, betraying chime. Nova, her eyes slide past mine. It wasn't tomorrow. It already happened. The invitation is heavy in my hand. I look again. The date insists on tomorrow in shimmering script. That makes no sense, I say, too calmly for the way my pulse ricochets. Explain. Marla's voice thins. The printer messed up. The words don't land. They dissolve. The truth arrives anyway. They kept me out. Not just my mother, my father, Derek, and my sister Betrayal. They choreographed this. Heat climbs my face, then drains away. I don't argue. I don't plead. A door inside me slides shut with a soft, final click. That night, in my Rivergate loft, the invitation stares back from the counter, every cursive loop a needle. I have bankrolled this family more times than I can count. I have stood in for luck, for timing, for grace. And they used a misprinted date like a velvet rope. For years ago, Betrayal, then 35, launched a fashion boutique. Big windows, bigger dreams. A supplier vanished and left her holding $18,500 in invoices. She called at 2 a.m, voice quivering. Please, Nova, I'll pay you right back. I wired it before the sun rose. She never mentioned it again. Last year, my parents' ranch house needed structural and electrical work, $33,000, they said, or it would slide into disaster. I reshuffled savings from my event production contracts and paid it. Dad muttered thanks. Mom changed the subject. That summer they hosted cookouts. I wasn't invited to. You're always slammed with work, Mom texted. Slapped a bow on it like courtesy. Easter, I drove 2 hours to surprise them. The door was dead-bolted, and the rooms were dark. Betrayal texted. We're with friends. No details. I sat on the porch with a bag of pastel cupcakes and the certainty that I was helpful, but not welcome. And the vacation I sent them on, the celebratory long weekend in Sapphire Ridge, they captioned like a self-made triumph. Betrayal posted photos in designer sunglasses and thanked hard work and good energy. Hard work apparently spells NOVA. My phone lights up. Aunt Deja, 41, the cousin-turned-aunt who has been my right hand since childhood and designs brand systems for half the small businesses in town. Talk to me, she says as soon as I answer. I tell her everything, every glittering lie soldered to that invitation. She exhales, long and furious. I didn't want to be the one to say it, she admits, but they planned it. Betrayal told your mom you'd take over if you came. The calm, the polish, you'd outshine her. Marla didn't fight her. The floor doesn't drop. It tilts, just enough to show the pattern I kept refusing to see. I cross to the window. Rivergate's downtown glows in copper lines. I have been the emergency fund, the fixer, the quiet hero. And in return, I got a locked door and a bad alibi. You don't deserve this, Deja says. What's your move? My reflection looks back, steady. I think of all the times they mistook my kindness for permission. All the times I carried weight that wasn't mine. Something unclenches. They wanted a perfect event without me? I say softly. Fine. Then they can live with the part they forgot. I stopped being their safety net a long time ago. I just never told them. Tomorrow I will. Morning breaks clean and merciless. I drive to my parents' place in South Rivergate, palms steady on the wheel, mind even steadier. The ranch looks the same as always, azaleas trimmed, porch swing squeaking in a lazy breeze, like appearances could substitute for honesty. Marla opens the door, surprise flickering into worry. Nova? Baby, what? We're done with gentle, I say, stepping past her into the living room. Derek lowers his newspaper, blinking. Brielle is curled in Dad's recliner, scrolling like none of this touches her. She looks up, chin angled, a pearl pin glinting in her hair. Why did you send me an invitation with the wrong date? I ask, voice low, calm enough to make them nervous. Say it out loud. Silence stretches, then Brielle's mouth curves, not quite a smile. Because if you were there, she says, it would become your show. She shrugs. You have that presence. A presence you begged for when the boutique bill hit, I reply. Or when the electrician said the panel was a fire hazard. Funny how my presence only becomes a problem when joy is involved. Mom flinches. We knew you were busy, and Brielle? Stop, I say gently. You chose this. Dad clears his throat, gaze drifting to the mantel. Let's not make a scene. The scene already happened, I answer. You just scheduled it for a day I couldn't attend. Brielle straightens, jaw tight. It was my wedding day. I wanted breathing room. You plan events for a living. Everything would turn into a checklist. I study her, the sister I have lifted, defended, financed. You didn't want breathing room, I say. You wanted spotlight without a mirror nearby. No one argues. I set a folder on the coffee table and tap it once. Here's my mirror, I add. 6 years ago, when y'all were drowning in revolving balances and late fees, you were about to lose the cottage at Lake Marisol. Remember? Mom's eyes sheen. Dad doesn't move. I bought it, $212,000 cash. I open the folder. Deed, wire confirmation, tax records, every page crisp. Title has my name. I let you use it because I believed in family more than paperwork. Since then, you've leased it on summer weekends and pocketed the rentals while I paid insurance, taxes, and repairs. Brielle blinks. That little place is basically family property. It's legally my property. I say, not unkind. I made it easy because I loved you, not because I was confused. Dad rubs the bridge of his nose. Nova, we're going to talk to you. You've had 6 years to talk, I reply. You chose to celebrate without me instead. For a long beat, the only sound is the porch swing. I'm not here to fight, I say. I'm here to set terms. I'm suspending access to Lake Marisol. No more bookings. No more last-minute texts. No more Nova will handle it. Mom's voice thins. Where's your compassion? Right where it belongs, I say softly. With the person you've been using. Brielle scoffs. So, this is revenge? This is balance, I answer. This is me returning everything you handed me. Silence, erasure, convenient amnesia. Back to its sender. I gather the folder, slide it into my tote, and head for the door. If you want to fix anything, I add, start by telling the truth, to me and to each other. Outside, the air is warm and bright. I breathe it in and call Deja from the driveway. Well, she asks. They admitted it, I say. And I drew the line at Lake Marisol. About time, she replies, relief and fire braided together. Next step, lock it down properly, I say. I'm calling an attorney. By noon I'm in a quiet office off Maple Row, sitting across from Sayla Boone, 44, contract savant with a gaze like a level. I slide the documents to her. She reads without commentary, then nods once. You've been generous, Sayla says, and they've mistaken generosity for consent. Title is clean. We'll file notices terminating any informal arrangements and serve a cease-use letter regarding short-term rentals. If they ignore it, we file to remove unauthorized occupants or vendors as needed. The knot between my shoulders loosens half an inch. Make it airtight. It will be, she says. I'll also wall off your financial exposure. Any open lines tied to your name get closed or reassigned. We'll fortify your accounts and add alerts. Think of it as stormproofing. I sign where she flags, the pen steady in my hand. Each signature feels like a brick in a wall I should have built years ago. As I'm leaving, my phone buzzes. A text from Betrayal. We should talk. Sorry if your feelings were hurt. I stare at the screen until the words blur, then slide the phone back into my bag. Not today. On the walk to my car, a thought lands with the certainty of a gavel. They didn't just plan a wedding without me. They rehearsed a life without accountability. That script ends here. Back at my loft, sunlight spills across the concrete floor. I pour tea, open my laptop, and draft a short, simple note to my parents and sister. Access to Lake Marisol ends immediately. Please direct any future requests through counsel. Nova. No apologies. No footnotes. Just a new operating manual with my name on the cover. I hit send, close the laptop, and let the room be quiet. For the first time in a long time, the silence feels like mine. 3 days later, my phone lights up while I'm reviewing stage lighting specs for a tech conference. The caller ID reads Sayla Boone. It's done, she says. Filings recorded. Your name is the only one on every record related to Lake Marisol. They can't claim rights or profit without you. Relief hums low in my chest. Thank you, Sayla. Be prepared, she warns. They'll notice the freeze soon. She's right. That evening, the first text comes from Mom. We can't access the property account. Did you change something? Then from Dad. This seems like a mistake. And finally from Betrayal. You didn't have to go that far. I don't reply to any of them. I've spent years replying. By Friday, Aunt Deja drops by my loft with takeout and that half grin that means she has news. They're panicking, she says, settling onto the couch. Betrayal bragged to a client last week that the Lake Marisol cottage was her personal retreat. Now that the listing's gone and the renters canceled, she's scrambling for an explanation. I exhale through a laugh. You can't live off someone else's narrative forever. Deja leans forward. She's been using that place as a photo shoot backdrop for her fashion line. Without it, her brand looks like smoke and mirrors. So now she gets to learn what I learned, I say quietly. Standing on your own is harder, but cleaner. She nods. What about your folks? They're quiet, I reply, which is worse than noise. It means they're planning their next story. Monday morning, the story finds me. I stop by a cafe downtown and catch two acquaintances whispering near the counter. One says, "You heard about Nova? She froze her parents' assets over a misunderstanding." The other shakes her head. Such a shame. She used to be the responsible one. My stomach drops, then hardens. That's the angle. Selfish daughter. Ungrateful sister. Classic misdirection. Back at my office, I open my phone to find a flood of subtle digs on social media. Family-adjacent cousins reposting vague quotes about forgiveness and loyalty. I scroll once, twice, then lock the screen. They want to draw me into their play. I'll write my own. That night, I meet Sayla and Deja for dinner. The restaurant buzzes low, jazz spilling from the speakers. They're spreading rumors, I tell them. Sayla arches a brow. Then you counter with facts. Quietly, cleanly. People remember clarity, not drama. Deja grins. Or you let their chaos implode on its own timeline. I toy with my glass, thinking, maybe both. What's your endgame, Nova? Sayla asks. Peace, I say simply. And for them to understand that generosity without respect ends. Sayla smiles faintly. Then you're already halfway there. 2 weeks later, it happens. Betrayal calls. I almost ignore it, but something, curiosity, closure, maybe both, makes me answer. Her voice is small. The boutique's shutting down, Nova. Investors pulled out after that last shoot got canceled. I need advice. Not money, not pity. Advice. That single word shifts something. You'll figure it out, I say after a pause. But I can't fix it for you. I know. Her voice cracks. I made a mess. I let the silence stretch. Then, softly, we all did. The difference is I'm cleaning mine. She breathes out a shaky, okay. For the first time in years, there's no manipulation in her tone, just fatigue. When we hang up, I stare at the skyline beyond my window. The city lights shimmer like quiet applause. For the first time, I feel the balance tip, not in revenge, but in restoration. They're beginning to see who I really am. Not the wallet, not the backup plan, but the woman who learned to stop rescuing people who never wanted to swim. And the tide, finally, is mine. A month passes. The silence between us stretches wider than any argument could. Then, late one afternoon, Deja calls. "You sitting down?" she asks. "I can be," I say, pulling a chair away from my desk. "They're unraveling. Your sister just lost her biggest retail contract. 40,000 gone overnight. The supplier pulled out, said her brand image is too unstable after that fake property drama." I blink slowly. So, the lie caught up. Exactly. "And your parents?" "Their retirement funds under review. The company your dad invested in tanked, and your mom's scrambling to fix their finances. It's messy." A strange mix of sadness and calm fills me. "I didn't want this," I say quietly. "I just wanted distance." Deja's voice softens. "Sometimes distance is the only cure. You didn't cause this, you just stopped cushioning it." That evening, my phone buzzes again. Dad this time. I let it ring, but he calls twice more before I finally answer. "Nova," he starts, his tone brittle. "Your mom's upset. We're struggling to keep things afloat. Could we use Lake Marisol for a few weeks while we get back on track?" I close my eyes. "You mean the house I bought, the one you leased for years and claimed as yours?" A pause. "That's not fair," he says quietly. "It's accurate," I reply. "You built comfort on my labor and called it family. Now the bills just do." He sighs, the weight of regret threading through the static. "We didn't mean to hurt you. You meant to control the story," I correct. But stories always find their truth. When I hang up, my hands are steady. 2 days later, Betrayal shows up at my office lobby unannounced. Security buzzes me. "Ms. Hayes, there's a visitor, says she's your sister." My stomach tightens, but I tell them to let her in. She looks different, exhausted, makeup smudged, pride thinner than her designer blazer. "Can we talk?" she asks. I nod toward a quiet meeting room. "I messed up," she says as soon as the door closes. "I thought you were trying to steal my spotlight, but you were just trying to help. I can't fix everything, but I am sorry." The words are raw, and for the first time, they sound real. "I don't hate you, Betrayal," I say slowly, "but I can't go back to being your safety net." "I'm not asking for that," she says. "I just don't want to be enemies." "Then stop acting like one," I answer, gentler than I intend. She nods, tears threatening. I deserve that. We sit there for a long, quiet moment. There's no forgiveness yet, but there's honesty, and that's a start. Later that night, I find myself on my balcony overlooking downtown Rivergate. The air hums with late summer heat, and my phone vibrates with another message, this time from Mom. "We heard about Betrayal visiting. Maybe we can all meet. Families shouldn't stay divided." I type back. Families shouldn't lie either. Then delete it before sending. Instead, I put my phone down and pour a glass of water, staring out at the skyline. Some bridges deserve to rest in ashes, at least until the other side learns to build again. The next morning, an email arrives from Sayla Boone. "All financial separations finalized. You now hold sole authority over all joint accounts and properties. No further obligations remain." Reading it feels like exhaling after years underwater. For the first time, every decision, every key, every door belongs to me, and no one else's signature can rewrite that. I close the email, whispering to no one in particular. Freedom doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just sighs. And that sigh is enough to fill a whole new beginning. 6 months later, I stand on the porch of Lake Marisol, the morning light pouring over the water like gold. The house is quiet, no laughter from borrowed guests, no phone calls begging for favors. Just stillness, earned and honest. Inside, the walls smell faintly of cedar and new paint. I'd remodeled the cottage myself. New floors, fresh furniture, and a studio space for my expanding event design firm, Hayes and Company. Every beam, every brushstroke, is a declaration that I built something of my own. My career has flourished in the silence that followed the storm. Clients doubled. My name circulates in rooms where no one mentions family ties, only results. I mentor young women from Rivergate who remind me of my younger self, bright, capable, overlooked. We talk about boundaries and belief, about never shrinking to fit inside someone else's comfort. On the shelf sits a small framed photo, Deja, Selah, and me celebrating the firm's first major award. They are my chosen circle, the ones who clapped when I stood tall instead of when I bent down. Sometimes I still think about my parents and Betrayal. Word is their lives have quieted. The boutique closed for good, and the house they once bragged about is on the market. Mom sends the occasional holiday text. I read them, smile faintly, and leave them unanswered. Forgiveness, I've learned, isn't always an invitation, it's a release. One weekend, Deja visits. We sit by the lake sipping iced tea as dragonflies dart above the rippling water. You ever think about letting them back in? She asks softly. Maybe one day, I reply, when they stop seeing my love as currency. Deja smiles. Then that day might take a while. Then so be it, I say, gazing at the water. Peace costs what it costs. She raises her glass. To peace. To peace, I echo, the words settling between us like a promise. Later, as twilight stretches across the horizon, I record a short message for my followers, something I've started doing weekly, a small ritual that bridges storytelling and truth. The camera blinks red and I begin. When your own family underestimates you, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've outgrown the version they preferred. Sometimes walking away isn't bitterness, it's clarity. Protect your peace and don't apologize for evolving. I end with a smile. If this resonates with you, share your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales of strength, healing, and lessons that last. The camera light fades. Outside, the lake glows silver beneath the moon. I step out onto the porch one more time, breathing deep, letting the night settle around me. I used to think family defined me. Now I know better. Integrity does. Independence does. Peace does. And that, finally, is enough. And that's how I stopped chasing love from the very people who only valued what I could give. I didn't lose a family that day. I reclaimed myself. If you've ever been excluded, underestimated, or made to feel like your worth only exists when you're useful, remember this. Walking away isn't revenge. It's recovery. Peace is the loudest comeback you'll ever make. Thank you for watching Revenge Tales by Camera, where real strength means knowing when to rise and when to release. Before you go, tap subscribe to join our growing community of resilient voices. Drop a comment below. Tell us where you're watching from and what moment made you realize enough was enough. Like this story, if you believe every woman deserves to stand tall, even when she stands alone. Because sometimes the best revenge is living beautifully, boldly, and free.